coming to the Tree Fort. This is a back-to-back episode for us, but you're joined today by... I was almost going to call myself Philip Boughton. You're joined by...
You can be Philip Boughton.
Well, I'm used to introducing PB and JJ. So PB and JJ are here. You got Joe John. You got Philip Boughton.
We could be PB, JJ, and KK.
Well, I was going to see. We got to figure out where we can fit you into this sandwich.
And Rosemary. Mrs. McMurray.
You're KK?
That's what my nieces call me, is Auntie KK.
So yeah, you're joined by Joe Johnson, Philip Boughton, and Rosemary.
Rosemary.
And yeah, as Philip Boughton said, today's gonna be a little bit more of a more casual episode. It's gonna be a lot. Yeah, so hopefully you guys are starting to kind of associate the names and voices and kind of feeling us out a little bit. I will add, me and Philip Boughton were at a bar this week for the draft, and one of Philip Boughton's personal childhood friends. He changed his mind later, but he did say that I was his favorite voice so far on the podcast. He immediately changed it to you, Kaylee.
Huh, I was going to say, well, you
Rosemary.
can fuck yourself.
Whoever
said that, thank you, I appreciate you.
I respect, but I did feel very gleeful for a few moments there.
Yeah.
That's jovial is how I'd express myself.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's good to hear the feedback.
I felt like a celebrity.
Yeah.
And then my heart was ripped out of my chest. But
when he changed his mind.
Yeah.
But no, I'll say that. I mean, we're putting these up. We're hoping that y'all listen and spread the word. And it's nice to hear that it is starting to grow.
Yeah.
Starting to spread. Like Dunk, listens to
shout out Dunk,
our podcast when he goes on his runs. Love it. McFadden listens to it every single time.
Professional darts player. We're giving shout outs right now.
Yep.
Welcome to the casual episode.
Yep.
I knew McFadden before you knew McFadden.
I know.
Yep.
He's my McFadden.
I love Mark. Shout out Mark. But it always is funny when we play Xbox together because he's introduced me to a lot of his friends on Xbox, and he'll always, or at least he used to always introduce me as his manager. I'm like, that's so much pressure, bro. I'm high as shit right now. I'm trying to play Xbox. I always said, we're just people right now. That's what I like to say. But yeah, so today's episode is going to be a lot more on the casual side.
Yeah.
We do have a little structure, so I think you can, you might have already said it a little bit, but we can kind of talk about what this will be themed around, concerts, reminiscing.
We're just reminiscing. We're talking about concerts. I'm somebody that listens to music a lot in the shower. We talked about that one, Shower Nightclub.
Shower Nightclub's big.
Shower Nightclub is big. Did it this morning. It was fantastic. But been to many concerts and was just kind of thinking back on some of them and just thinking to myself, what's the best one I've been to? I know Rose has been to a bunch, and her musical spectrum is quite vast. So, her answers, I value them. So wanted to know what she thought. And Joe John is just a little child who is sheltered, and so
he's an average-sized child.
He's been to
thank you
not many.
I would say slightly below average
concerts.
Yeah, I like concerts. I just haven't been to a lot of them. I don't know why. Like,
you haven't watched movies, you haven't watched shows, but we're gonna.
Hey, don't come at. There's other things.
How old are you?
How old am I? I'll be 28 in June.
I feel like I was you when I was 28. Like, I really didn't watch shit, and now I watch everything.
Well, it's like
we're gonna start.
I watched a lot of like sports, so like instead of movies or TV, I would just put on a basketball game or whatever. I'm less like I used to be so into basketball. I could watch the two worst teams play and have a good time. So I'd just always pay for NBA League Pass, get every game, and that's all I watched for like 5 years. I'm less invested now. I care more so about my team, but I can't just sit there all day and watch things I don't care about. So now I'm slowly getting introduced to more like of the traditional media, movies, TV, etc. So
you're a handsome ball of clay.
I do love
to mold into just this pop culture dynamo.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because you and me are like exact opposites. Not that you don't like sports, but like in the sense that like you are like going to trivia with you, like you are perfect for trivia. Like just with like your wheelhouse of knowledge. I know a lot of things. I wouldn't say I'm dumb, but not a lot of it's trivia related or like that kind of like media.
Sure.
So that I think that helps our dynamic.
Yes.
So I'm just defending myself, but very casually.
Fun fact that I set aside when you were talking about that you're from Binghamton, Arthur Shawcross was for one day placed in Binghamton before he came to Rochester. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
You were spared. Because your mayor was real fucking pissed.
Okay.
All right, then.
So as far as concerts go, yeah. So let's talk concerts. So what do
Yeah, so I mean, the way you introduced this to
Top
me is
three.
you want to talk about like your top three
Yeah.
favorite concert experiences. I've been to 3 concerts. Like I've been to, I said 5 earlier. I've probably been to more that I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But I haven't been to a ton of like really big concerts. Or I do want to go to a festival this year. I think that would be fun. My buddy, shout out Tyler. He is like big.
Tyler Witt?
No, I grew up with him.
just kidding.
No. What's his DJ name? It used to be Calcavelli. Now it's something else. I think it's just Calca, which is his last
You're friends
name.
with a DJ and you held this for me?
So he's just now what I was gonna say is he was big into like going to like festivals and like more EDM stuff than like traditional music, but like that's his big thing. And now he's getting into DJing. But I think I'm going to one in July with him. So it's
Where?
not.
What is it? Tell me.
It's in Kansas City, which is where he lives. So I'll have to look it up, but I'm going to go to something this summer at least. That's
What's
be
his
similar.
DJ name?
I think it's just Calca, but it's Kalva. He like literally just started doing shows, so like I don't know how big. Like if you have SoundCloud, you might find him.
I found him.
Cool. I don't know how good it is, so don't. If it's bad, don't tell me.
I add him to my library.
Cool. So Tyler, I'm sure you're listening to this podcast because I just plugged your music. I'm not even going to talk to you about this, and I'm going to wait for you to bring up this with me.
Yeah.
So
See if he does.
Yeah, so I'm reaching out, but I've definitely been to some. I just don't think I have like 3 really great stories that I can tell.
Okay.
So I'll be more of a passenger here, but
Sure.
I'll still participate, and we're still going to have a good time.
All right. Well,
So with that being said, I mean
Gross.
I was going to ask you.
you ask me.
What triggered this idea of making this a? I mean, it's not gonna. I don't know if it's series, but this an episode. How did this come to be?
Well, I think this is just something that I wanted to do to kind of let everybody in on the tree for it.
Just get a little bit more personal hour.
People know what's going on. What we're thinking, what we like to do in our spare time.
We just have names, but
I like the idea of, and was it you maybe that said this, or maybe McFadden said it, but if one time we pretended we were somebody else and did a different voice, and like
Not
see
me.
if people like picked up on it. Barnum and I did that once. We got hammered and went to the mall. We were at the mall and got hammered, and we went.
As 2 do.
Where?
What?
Where?
Eastview Mall,
Oh, at like the sports bar place? Champs?
the parking lot. And then we pretended we were British, and we were Christmas shopping.
Why didn't you just have Barnum pretend that he was a Canadian sounding Canadian?
I don't know. But we were British, and we were Christmas shopping. We were British brothers. Christmas shopping for our parents.
Oh my god.
Pip pip. We just oh,
All right.
what do you think about this? Oh, that looks nice. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Something that I do envy of the Brits is just their like ability to use slang so fluently and the fucking sea of just
Tot!
beautiful fuckery that their slangs are.
Whistle! Did you watch it? Ted Lasso?
Oh no, I haven't seen this most recent episode.
While we're
It's
shouting
so
out
good.
languages, shout out to Australians just for their use of the word cunt. Really,
Yeah.
yeah.
He's a rock good cunt.
Like it's not that offensive there. You can just say cunt. I mean, so yeah, they get their flowers for that.
Sure. So anyway, concerts. Do we want to go? So I think it's kind of like a top 3, but it's also like I've got one that's like it was a phenomenal band. It was a fantastic time. Shenanigans ensued. So it's like a good story. My second one is a really close second because it was a good band. And then the third is like, there's like 5 or 6 different ones I could talk about. And I don't quite know which one I want to go. I think I know which one I want to
Same.
go with. But, so I'll start it off then with
go for it.
my number one. Let me set the stage for you. September 11th, 2011.
That's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were just going to go into a 9/11 joke.
No, not you. Watching the documentaries.
Me?
Thinking of
No,
him.
Have we told that story?
No.
When it was like right when I first got an iPod Touch, I went on LimeWire to download the Transformers movie so I could watch it overnight. And I was like 12, 13, and it just turned out to be a 9/11 like
Conspiracy movie.
yeah, but like a conspiracy from the place of like they did this shit and we're going to talk about why. So it wasn't just like speculation, it was like planting seeds, it was like they talked in a different factual lens as if it did happen. And I just sat there one night as like a 13-year-old kid because I didn't have Wi-Fi at my house yet, so I had to go in the very corner of my room to download anything and use my neighbor's Wi-Fi before like everyone had passwords on their stuff. So I just laid there and just watched the 9/11 documentary instead of Transformers. I think it would have been Transformers 3.
Damn.
So yeah, September 11th, 2011,
September 11th,
10 years later.
2011, 10-year anniversary. I find myself in Toronto. Me and my buddy TC went up to Toronto for the concert. Made a little weekend of it. It was a real cute dude's day. Drove up. So I had my passport. He did not have anything. Didn't know that you needed a passport or enhanced license. Got that all squared away. Really funny because everybody's like, oh, they're going to give you a bunch of crap when you come into the country, not when you leave. Which wasn't the case. That lady at the border was a giant pain.
Canadian lady?
Yeah. Canadian lady was a giant pain. And he had gotten the temporary license, or the enhanced license, excuse me. And we got over, went to Niagara Falls, to the casino quick. We didn't have a hotel. We had the ticket. We didn't even have tickets for the show. We just said we were going up there for that. Went up there, did that. So made a whole day of it. Went to a Blue Jays game, Blue Jays Orioles game. It was awesome. Went out in Toronto. Had a blast. Got hammered. Absolutely hammered. And TC walked through a fountain. You know those fountains where it's flat and it just looks like the sidewalk, but then there's like jets that come up. So like we're walking.
He took one straight to the butthole, didn't he?
On purpose.
Oh my god!
I do that every time I go to the bathroom.
We're walking by and we see the show start going off and he starts walking through, gets absolutely drenched. And we went to a couple other places, did some other things, but went and saw Pearl Jam at the Air Canada Centre.
Shout out Air Canada.
Yeah. And it's not called that anymore, is it? I don't know what it's called. But where the Maple Leafs play. So went there. Pearl Jam. We had tickets. So tickets were $80, and we were behind the stage. So the stage was, if you think about like an arena, it was like you were saying with Metallica, they were in the middle of it. Pearl Jam was on the end, and we were behind it, but up a level so you could still see, right? So at first, when we bought them, it's like, okay, these tickets have $80. We're in the building. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
It actually was sick because we could see, like, yeah, they weren't singing at us, but it sounded perfectly fine. And they did one song where they turned around and sang to everybody else, but it was a 2-night event where they did a bunch of songs or they did, a bunch one day, a bunch another day, obviously. And pretty much on the day that we went, they played all of my favorite Pearl Jam songs. So I was very pumped about that. The Rearview Mirror, that is my favorite Pearl Jam song. They played that. It is on YouTube. It is unreal. I just remember being pretty drunk and raging during the song. Had a hell of a time. But the cool thing about the show, like when he comes out, Eddie Vedder's got 2 bottles of red wine, both of them gone by the end of the show. And the cool thing about it was because of our seats, he was hammered, was jumping around for the encore. Neil Young came out and sang "Keep on Rockin' in the Free World." And he jumped off of one of those like speaker things at the front of the stage and just fell, just straight up ate shit on the stage. And like if you were in a normal seat watching that, you'd be like, oh shit, he's like down. But because we could see like down what he was doing, he's just laying on the ground dying laughing and like just rolling around. And it was like, it's just that moment that nobody else would have saw. So I loved it. We then went back home and everyone's like, oh, they're going to give you so much crap on the way back through. The guy, the US guy was like, you're coming back home? Like, yeah, I went up for the Pearl Jam concert. He's like, oh, you son of a bitch. I tried to get off for that. They wouldn't get me off. He's like, yeah, go ahead. He's like, lie to me and tell me it wasn't sick. I'm like, it wasn't sick. And he's like, all right, go on. That guy was cool. So that is the best concert I have been to.
Nice.
Questions, comments, concerns?
No concerns.
Okay, good. There should be.
My question would more just so be about your friend who just didn't realize that like you should have documentation going
Jesus
to a different
Christ.
country.
It was 2011.
It was on September 11th. Like, that's
different times.
literally why.
It just seems like a big oversight on everyone's part, like specifically them, but like nobody double checking before you guys leave the area. Oh,
so I said that he didn't know, so we got him the enhanced license like right before.
Oh. You said it like you guys were driving to the border and had no idea.
I thought you guys were saying that you got to cross the border without the documentation, and they were going to give you a hard time on the way back. And I was like, imagine being stuck
Why
in
would
Canada.
they give you a hard time if you
She
had an
did,
enhanced
though.
license?
So she did because it was a temporary one.
Okay.
But the lady, a temporary, because like you have
so
to
like
wait.
you guys just did it.
I was told when I got my temporary, like, you cannot use this to get. They will not let you.
So we went, and she's like, "What are you doing?" We're like, "We're going up for the Pearl Jam concert. Where are you staying?" Don't know yet because we didn't get that far.
Oh, and you wonder why she gave you a hard time.
And so we're going to stop at Seneca Niagara, or the casino there, and figure it out. And then she was okay, and like just a whole big thing, pain in the butt, but we got over. It was fun. It was a blast.
One of the times I went over to Canada, I was going for one of my one of 50 asshole ex-boyfriends, like frat proms is all I can literally say. That
like
it was
the formals.
There you go. And I had gotten my enhanced like right before, like the day before, gotten the actual official card in the mail, but it was right before my 21st birthday, and it said like not valid until my 21st birthday, or like something very strange. And so I brought both my old ID and my new ID with me because I was like, I don't know what fucking one to use, like if this is gonna cause an issue. No issues getting into Canada. We stay for the weekend. We come back. Our car is full of like luggage and clothes and my fucking like curling iron and shoes and outfits and like whatever. And they make me pull off on the side of the road, and they go through all of my luggage, completely tear apart my entire fucking car. They pull me out of the car, and my boyfriend at the time, and they pull us into, like, a room in a building off to the side, and they're like, why do you have multiple IDs on you? And I explained the situation, like, oh, I just got mine enhanced. I was confused by the dates, didn't know if it was valid, so I brought my others. And they were like, no, you have another ID on you. And I was like, I don't know what his ID? Like, what are you talking about? So it went on for, like, 20 minutes of me just being, like, fucking oblivious as to what they were talking about. And I was like, I'm sorry, like, it doesn't say it's valid. I would just keep repeating myself, so forth and so on. And then I find out probably, like, 4 days after I come home, after I'm, like, going through all my shit, that one of my girlfriends in New York had left her ID from when we had gone out to the bar the week before, and she happened to be fucking Pakistani. And they literally thought that I was, like, trying to fucking smuggle something because I had some third ID hidden in a wallet, shoved in a bag that I didn't even fucking know was there with some Pakistani girl. It was, like...
That's crazy.
I think that is the last time I went to Canada. It was, like, a whole 2-hour ordeal.
Huh. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Don't smuggle Pakistanis.
Don't fucking tell me. They, like, whipped out my curling iron, or it was a wand, where it doesn't have, like, the clicky thing?
Yeah.
So it looks like a fucking iron dildo with a handle. They're like, what's this for? I'm like, curling my hair. Help me.
That's crazy.
Looking good.
Wow.
Rose.
How did that story start? Was that you talking about your concert
Because she'd been
experience?
in Canada.
Oh, okay. I was like, is that about a concert?
Yeah, about the American side just being assholes.
Uh-oh, we have a visitor. Hello, buddy. Oh, you're being weird.
Rose, your number one concert.
Yeah, let's hear your number one concert. What's your story for there?
It's so hard for me. I'm gonna say Red Hot Chili Peppers just because it's fresh.
From like 2 weeks ago?
Yes, it's fresh.
Nice.
They're an absolute bucket list for me.
Is that your first time seeing them?
Oh yeah, and it'll be the last time because they're so fucking expensive.
Well, how old are they now?
The 50s.
I was gonna say, because I used to, I'm not old, but I used to like them like 15 years ago.
Oh yeah. They were fucking amazing. The stage was like very unique. We had pit tickets. The pit was not super overcrowded. They had high noons, which made the experience that much better.
Love a nooner. Shout out nooners.
Yeah, they're like mid-50s-ish on average, and they're still fucking... Flea came out walking on his hands, wearing a fucking kilt, and he's doing like toe touches the whole time, and getting up on the speaker and fucking doing ninja kicks off, and even Anthony Kiedis, he's wearing a fucking boot, like a walking cast, on one leg, and then the other leg has a knee brace on it, and he's fucking running laps. There was a moment where Flea was like, oh, I just had a little baby boy, and like I really wanted to make a little lullaby for him, something to just, send him softly to sleep. So I wrote this little thing for him, and he goes like he's gonna start in gently on his bass, and he just fucking goes into a fucking face melter. Him and Chad Smith just fucking rocked it. It was amazing. It was so amazing. The applause from the encore was louder than the loudest of the music. Like, I thought I was gonna have hearing damage, and like covered my ears for the crowd. It was that loud. Wow. It was fucking nuts.
So they still put on a really good show. They're not okay.
It was so, and like it was different than seeing other groups that had been together for so long, like Metallica or like Journey or Dave Matthews, where it's like they know their set list in and out.
I was going to ask you, what do they perform? Do they perform a lot of the older stuff, or do they? Because I think they still have some newer stuff too. Yeah, right?
Their most recent album is Return of the Dream Canteen, and they probably did 3 songs off that.
Which came out when?
This year maybe.
Okay.
2023 or maybe 2022. Yeah,
because I know like
one from the year before as well.
Like I think the album's called Californication. Like that's like my favorite one. Time period.
That was my first album I ever owned. I was in 4th grade when it came out, and I fucking know every word to every song in order on the disc.
And it's so funny because I'm like too young to make like mixtapes on like CDs, really. Like that wasn't really a thing, but I made a mixtape on a CD of Red Hot Chili Peppers,
right.
And it was so bad. Like just the song choice, and it was not a good thing. But I do that just popped up in my head as a memory.
The Strokes opened for them, and I probably only know like 4 or 5 Strokes songs, and they open with a song I didn't know, and they're I don't know, like, what their setup is, or, like, if these are all of their founding members.
I only know, like, 4 or 5 strokes. Period.
How many do you know?
But I don't know if it was, like,
7.
the original, folks, but, like, they had fucking 5. They had a bassist and 4 guitarists, and I swear that one of the guitarists... Yes. I swear that one of the guitarists also picked up a bass. The fucking lead singer at some point after the first song, he's like, that was, like, the worst applause we've ever gotten, like, while on tour. And, like, the crowd booed them. Go fuck your mother, Julian Casablancas. Go fuck your mother!
Yeah. He's one of those guys.
They had, like, hardly any front lighting, and I could still tell how balding his situation was. And he wore sunglasses through the whole thing. It was dark as fuck. You could have tripped. Stupid. Still #1 show, though.
Although, their guitarist Albert Hammond Jr., very good.
Couldn't tell you which one it was.
I don't know if it is one of the 4, but he has his own stuff and pretty solid.
I'll just say my favorite concert. I don't have like a long story or anything to tell about it.
Okay.
But I got to see Luke Combs in concert, not last year, the year prior, and that was a really cool experience. That was like the year I really started getting into country music because going into like lockdown COVID year, like I didn't really like country music, but I just had so much free time on my hands working from home for a year to listen to stuff, so I just got so bored of like what I was used to listening to.
Right.
And this is when I picked up listening to podcasts a lot too, because I just needed something to stimulate me like during the day, because I worked from home for 2 years straight. So I did start getting more into country music. Then I went to Nashville, got really into it. So that was like the first big country concert I went to where I was like actually into the genre of music. And Luke Combs is really good. So that was probably my favorite concert. It's also probably one of my more recent ones. I didn't go to any big concerts last year. Like I like going and seeing live music, but not like, like just at a bar. Yeah, so I'll just throw that in. That was probably my favorite concert.
Where was it at?
CMAC.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So, yeah, now I want to go back around and you can talk about your second favorite concert?
Sure. Second favorite concert, and it's a close second, but I saw Ben Folds at Water Street probably in 08, maybe. And why that's a great concert for me. So the people, so he was doing some sort of like a cappella show at the time. I've never seen an episode or heard about it, but he was talking about like having these people come do it. And so the openers were a cappella groups and zero interest in it. But what was so great about it was that his show, his set, he played every song that I can think of that, being a pretty good Ben Folds fan, he played all of the hits. And the only one, some guy the whole time was just like, play Bitches Ain't Shit. And,
was it you?
No.
Were you the some guy?
No, that was not some guy. Which is not his song, but he does cover it. And he did not play that one. So that guy was probably disappointed. But he played, so Army is my favorite Ben Folds song probably. And he played that last. And so the whole time I'm like waiting for it. And it's building up. Played it. Loved it. He is super good. He's just a good entertainer. He's amazing at piano. He spent some time. He put in Altoids. So he opened the piano, put an Altoids tin on the strings, and then was playing. And it sounded like lasers. It was crazy. He just had a bunch of stories about Rochester and his time. Being in Rochester, he loved it. He said, I'm sure he says this about everywhere, but he said the song Free Coffee is about going to, what's the coffee place in the city?
here. Oh, Spot Coffee?
No, it's like Java. Something.
Java Juice?
No, I don't know what it was. But he was talking about that was, he wrote it off of that song. Or he wrote the song because of that coffee place. So, and then when he took a break, when they, we'll be back to do the encore or whatever, he had a girl come out and he's like, she's phenomenal. She plays ukulele. She auditioned and played Island in the Sun. She's so good. She comes out, she starts playing, and something's kind of off. Like she forgets the words. And she's like, I'm going to be honest, I don't remember the words to Island in the Sun, the Weezer song. She's like, I learned it for the audition and I don't know it. And so then she was just up there by herself. Ben Folds came out, played the drums for the song, and helped her out. And it was just a fantastic moment. So that is my number 2. Ben Folds at Water Street.
What's the main group that Ben Folds belongs to?
Ben Folds 5.
Why am I thinking like a fucking postal service or something weird? Was he ever in another?
Ben Gibbard. Death Cab.
Okay, yeah. I get Ben Gibbard and fucking Colin Meloy, or Meloy, however you pronounce his last name mixed up.
Decemberists.
There you go.
They wrote a bunch of songs together, so that would make sense.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Ben Folds does Brick. Love that song.
Nice.
That's
Very good.
Probably the most popular one you would know. Or anybody would know.
Yeah.
So,
awesome. Good story. Nice.
Thanks.
Do you, Rosemary, do you have a second favorite?
I had it in my mind and now I forgot it.
Okay.
Interesting. All right. Well, that'll do it today.
Oh, it would be fucking this last summer. My husband and I went to just one day of E-Zoo, Electric Zoo, in fucking New York City. And that was awesome. We specifically went for this like really unique EDM artist called Apache. We would always mispronounce it and say Apache because that's how it's spelled. Apashe. And he literally mixes like fucking Bach with like really heavy like house music. And his live show was fucking sick. It was the last of the night. We caught Memba right before him, which was awesome. We caught a fucking huge Diplo set. We saw Joel Corey as well. I think that for it being like a 20,000 person like festival, it was extremely well organized, like not crazy expensive, really good food vendors and stuff. And the crowd was honestly considering how fucking huge it was, the crowd was great and it was like really clean. Like they had a fucking porta potty city basically, and it was all very, very clean, even at like pretty late hours. My like favorite kind of moment from there is that we're like kind of standing, waiting for Diplo to come on, and this girl with pupils the size of fucking saucers comes up to me, and she's like putting her face an inch from my shoulder, and she's like, "I like your braid," and I did not have a braid.
Nice.
She was like very, very nice. So whatever she was on, it was working for her. And like most people were like that. They were just like, "I love your vibe." I'm like, I don't think I have that, but thank you. Like, yes, thank you, Queen.
That's great.
Yeah, everyone was like that. It was like a great fucking crowd. It really made the experience.
Nice.
Vibin'.
My second favorite concert, again, I'll just throw it in. I think it would be Zac Brown Band.
Are they country or are they like folk?
They're kind of country. How would you describe them? You're wincing.
Gross.
You don't like them?
No.
Really? I do.
I feel like I have.
They're kind of country, but they're I wouldn't say like, it doesn't have like a lot of twang to it. Is that an appropriate way to say
They're
it?
like
Southern twang?
I don't know how to describe it. It's like pop country.
I wouldn't say quite pop, but yeah.
Not, like,
it's kind of like a hybrid.
Oh wait, he does chicken fried?
Yeah.
Yes.
Pair of jeans that fit just right. And a radio.
See, I like it. It's kind of like...
Oh, I fucking love this song.
It is country, but it's kind of like just easy drinking music.
Yeah, I love that song.
And exactly, it's like, because that was the vibe. Like, it was just very easy going. It was a good day. Like, that was the only concert I've been to at Darien, which everyone does talk really bad about Darien. We had seats. We were not in the...
Oh, I think it's worse when you have seats.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Again, it's my first time that I witnessed a concert there. I know everyone talks down about it a lot.
I am a seat person, but like, I stand the whole time, but I just like knowing that I've got an area that is mine.
Yeah. Also, I was like... it was the week of getting my wisdom teeth out. So, I just kind of like... I mean, I wasn't like drugged up on the painkillers or anything, but like I definitely just got like a good like vibe
You
going.
had a really good vibe.
And I wasn't...
I like
it was
your vibe.
I don't know. So it was just like the first time in the whole week where I wasn't thinking about how sore my mouth was. I was pretty messed up. And I also felt skinny as shit because I didn't eat any food that week. So I was like, I feel good. I look good.
Hot boy summer.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I was feeling good. So that would be my second favorite
At the
concert.
Zach Brown Band concert.
I'm pretty sure that was like the next week, either before or after the Luke Combs one.
Jeez.
So
Dang.
that was like the one time where I felt like a concert goer for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I am the exact opposite of a seat person. If there is a seat under my ass or under, like, behind my legs, I hate my existence. I am a pit girl, or I am a fucking general admission. Like, if I think that I'm going to be harmed in the pit, like, there's going to be a lot of fucking moshing, I just get regular general admission.
My knees and back get too achy. I can't stand for that long.
I just fucking get so blasted, I forget I have legs.
I don't like the lawn. I don't like the lawn because it can, if it rains, screwed. And I like the idea that I'm with people. If I need to sit down, because yes, my shit gets tired, I can sit down. And then when I want to stand up and dance it out, you've seen me dancing. You know.
Unfortunately.
It gets destructive. There's body parts flailing. There's innuendos abound.
So for Darien specifically, like my dad would always go and see Dave Matthews both at Darien and at CMAC, like, you know, where it's like 2 days apart. And he would get those like fucking nice seats that are like kind of where you can have your own box, but because he had like a big ass wheelchair, he would be like, I don't know if they'd give him a box or if it'd just be like a row without seats, but like really good, really close, unobstructed views for the same price as like general admission. And if I like begged him, he would like let me go with him. But if I begged him and he was pissed at me for something, he would buy me a ticket, like either for regular general admission or the last seats under the tent. And I thought that was like okay until it rained at Darien and we were in the last seats under the tent. And you know, it comes to multiple peaks and then it has a ridge in the middle. We were in the middle in the back, so it was like a fucking waterfall when the people in general admission were just getting sprinkled on. So I was like, can I just go stand in general admission? And they let me. But I think that for Darien, that's another reason that I think it's just better.
Well, that's because they had a bad design.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I don't like Darien. But, yeah, CMAC's much...
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, CMAC seemed a lot nicer, like a place to be.
I've never been to CMAC.
I've only been to the one time, yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about this before.
Yeah. Well, let's see what they've got.
Did you say your third best story?
No.
I was gonna say because yeah, go ahead.
I've got two. Let's go with a 3A and a 3B. Both of them are at CMAC. And both for different reasons. So I would go 3A was just before COVID happened. I was in the lawn, which I hate, but I did it. Dan was there.
Dan who?
Clement.
Oh, okay.
And
shout out.
It was the Bare Naked Ladies and Hootie and the Blowfish concert.
Ooh, I like Darius Rucker a lot.
Yep. And what's great about it is one of my best friends from home, Trevor. Shout out Trevor.
Shout outs.
Him and I, when we would drive home from Cortland, we would put a song on. Or, you know, this song would would always find a way to pop on. It was Not Even the Trees by Hootie and the Blowfish. Fantastic song. Very heartwarming. And then when not only when we would drive home from school, but like road trips we would take, it would pop on every single time. It is our song. We saw it live. Hammered drunk. And so it's just one of those moments. There's a video of it on my phone of us singing it together. It's one of those moments that you'll always have. So that's probably number 3 because that's a nice moment. 3B would probably be the Avett Brothers concert. I went with a buddy I used to work with. I think we had lawn seats, but we just walked in like we owned the place. Nobody said anything about it at all. And I was on the front rail, so like in CMAC, but off to the left, so like 10 yards from the band. And it was phenomenal. So it was the closest I've ever been at a concert. Really enjoyed it. So those are my 3s. There's a couple others, but for various reasons we won't talk about them. Shenanigans ensuing. So yeah. Those are my 3.
It's like very hard for me to pick a third. This wasn't at a concert, but like side tangent. One time I bought very expensive, like a box seat or whatever for Drake and Lil Wayne. Maybe. I think they both played together.
Probably, yeah.
Darien Lake, like probably around 2011, 2012, something like that. And I got so fucked up pre-gaming, we ended up not even going inside the venue and had someone drive us to a strip club instead. Didn't even go inside.
That'd be number 3. Didn't even make it inside.
It was a great fucking experience, all in all.
For Drake and Lil Wayne.
Yes. I would say fucking probably around the same time, maybe 2012. Summertime, beautiful fucking summer day. Really like nice and warm, 80 degrees. Toby Keith at fucking Darien Lake. And I don't remember who he had open. I think that I was pure alcohol. I went dressed as a total fucking idiot, wearing like a pony dress and like these ridiculous cowboy boots. And I came like riding a pony on a stick, you know, like the childhood toy. And I got so many compliments, which was like just embarrassing for everyone that was complimenting me. And I feel like everyone, even if you don't listen to country music, knows a few Toby Keith songs. But the best part about it was we were in like general admission, so up on the lawn, which at Darien Lake is slightly pitched. I guess more than slightly pitched. Like if I sit on the lawn and someone sits with their feet to my ass behind me, they can see over my head. Yeah. And this is like later in the season, I want to say like July. And just at sunset, it starts fucking downpouring, but it's still very warm and it's like perfect weather. And people start body sliding down fucking general admission. And everyone's just fucking soaking wet and covered in mud. And it was just perfect debauchery. And I think like that was a great experience.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Yep.
And I was with like, we were like a group of 20 people that all went together. So it was like, it was a good.
That's awesome.
Good mix.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw Dave at CMAC, or at CMAC, at Darien Lake.
I've seen them somewhere. I can't remember where.
That's the one that...
They play at Darien and CMAC usually every year.
Maybe I've been to one of those places more than once. I've definitely seen Dave once.
Mattis Yahoo opened. It was awesome. Threw up like twice. Once at the concert. Well, once before the concert. Shout out to Trevor again. Because I threw up, not on his car, but adjacent to his car. And then I threw up in the park because I don't do well with rides and drinks. So, fun time. Everybody was there. All the boys. What else? What are some other good ones?
I was gonna say, this isn't a good experience, but before he got really famous, Logic came to Brockport.
Oh.
My first semester there, and he used to be really big on like freestyling while doing a Rubik's Cube. That was like his thing for a while. I don't know if he still does it or not. I've never really been a fan of Logic. But it was just really funny that he was and again, like he's a really famous guy now. Like he became a pretty big artist. Like immediately after that, this was like 2015. But it was really funny just watching like 100, like literally just 100 people at a Logic concert. It was maybe a couple hundred. It was not a lot. The room was empty. We left immediately. But he's just like freestyling, doing the Rubik's Cube, and the scene was just so lame.
That's so
like,
weird.
It came off so sad. Like, I can't believe that he
What kind of room?
It was like, so this is at Brockport. It wasn't like, it wasn't the, I don't know if, well, anyone's been to Brockport knows the Cirque. It's like the athletic facility where all the basketball courts are, but it's also where they would do the concerts and stuff. It wasn't there. It was somewhere in like the athletic, like if you went to school for like sports management or something, that building. It was a decent sized room, but for a concert it would have been really small. And it was nowhere near full. Like there had been at most maybe 300 people there.
Wow.
And it was their fall concert. My first semester there, my junior year, and it was just so whack. So I just think that was funny, especially because he became like, again, he's like a really popular artist, performer. Not my flavor, but yeah, just a funny story.
Who else did the summer or the concerts for you?
So
that's what I wanted to do.
This would have actually. This is a big story at Brockport. It would have been. I think it would have been that spring. It was supposed to be like probably their biggest. Well, it would have been one of their biggest concerts because they had a couple people like a few years before I went there. But it was peak Fetty Wap. It was when Fetty Wap. It was when Fetty Wap was at his peak. Peak Fetty Wap. So, but it was a whole big thing though because he just no showed. So like, it was his crew, which apparently he did a lot at the time. Now he's in jail. But it was such a big thing. Like, it was one of my biggest memories of Brockport. Because, like, his crew, Monty and all them, they were there. So, like, they opened, the show was happening, and eventually we're all like, where is he? Like, waiting. And then eventually, like, we're all, like, checking Twitter and stuff. Because apparently, I think he was either in Syracuse or performing at Syracuse the day before or earlier. And then all of a sudden, they made a rumor that he had, like, a motorcycle accident. So he wasn't going to make it, which... Again, I can't remember. This is 2016, so that may or may not have been true, that he had a motorcycle accident, but he definitely could have performed because he performed later on. And I remember at the concert, like, they were telling us, like, eventually they're like, all right, guys, it's not going to happen. Like, this is as good as it's going to get.
Dang.
And we all, like, everyone starts booing and stuff, and someone took, like, I think again, this is all memory, and it's been a long time since I've even talked about this. I think someone had, a weed bowl, and they threw it up on the concert stage, like when we were all booing and just upset. And I do remember, I don't know if they were performers or security, they were someone in the crew, but they were like talking shit, like ready to fight up there. They're like, who, like yelling who threw that, and like it was just such an awkward situation for like what was supposed to be a really big spring concert.
Damn.
So we all eventually got refunds. There was like a big apology, but I remember he went on like either Instagram or Twitter or something and was talking shit because like everyone was like on his Instagram like, yo, like what the fuck, like you bailed, like you piece of shit, like upset. And he was like responding online. So I do remember that was like a really big thing, at least in my view, when we for Brockport spring of 16.
Shit.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, I always do, and I do remember like it was BSG, Brockport Student Government, that like set it up or whatever. Do you guys ever you remember Vine?
Yeah.
Do you remember the Vine of the little girl holding the Barbie doll and she goes, "Give me my fucking money," and she throws it, and then they do the NCIS dun dun. I just remember sending that to the BSG account when they posted something about the refunds.
Oh my god!
Give me my fucking money. So yeah, that's another funny story of a concert that never was.
Sure.
Yes.
That I still had a great time. Like that probably would be in my top 3 just because of how funny everything turned out.
Dude, I've had like, I feel like just as many like great experiences that I've had. Usually not from the music, but like the crowds or fucking freak incidents happening at concerts. I have just as many bad, stories that as I have good.
I'll segue off of Joe John's there. that college concerts, like Brockport had Passion Pit
Ooh.
when I was just graduated.
I know they had Kid Ink when he first came on.
No,
he's not big now, but he had like that one song, "You Can Tell Him That I've Been Through Hell and Back." I don't know if that's enough. I can look it up. It was like hip hop. I think they had Wale there before, when he was really blowing up. And then they had I didn't really like him at the time, but they had Boz and Jid, who are part of Dreamville. J. Cole, his. I like them a lot more now. They were both very new, and I would probably assume underground when they came to Rockport. It was a much smaller, like, fall concert type thing. But they were there.
So, when I was at Cortland, I think it was maybe J. Cole and Chameleonaire. And J. Cole didn't show up.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that, like, something that I've never had someone no-show?
I think it happens more often. I don't know if it happens a lot, but it definitely does happen with, like, hip-hop, I would say.
And I'm assuming that you must, like, refund tickets.
And pop a lot more so than country and stuff.
Gotcha.
That happened, and then The Fray came.
Ooh.
Didn't go to it. But, and then who was the...
Can I side tangent real quick?
Yeah.
You just reminded me because you went to Cortland. Mm-hmm. So my favorite podcast is, it's one of Barstool's podcasts, but it's not super Barstool-y, it's macro dosing.
Yeah.
And they just ended up talking a lot about D3 football in their most recent episode, which...
Are you talking about Cortica?
Yeah, so they actually ended up talking about Cortica, which was really funny, because one of the girls on there, she went to Ithaca College. But, like, they're all, like, from Tennessee or, like, from South, and, like, none of them know what's going on. So it was funny, because they just kept ending up talking about, like, D3 football, and then they ended up talking about Cortica and, like, how wild of a time it is, because now they do it at, like, they just did it at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. And they've done it at MetLife before. So it was just cool, because that's, like, I know I didn't go to Ithaca or Cortland, but it's my favorite podcast, and it's like a nationwide one.
It's cool because like these people picked up a fucking car.
It's like
or whatever.
It's like I remember like everyone back home in Binghamton freaked out when Family Guy said the word Binghamton in passing.
Oh my
like 13
god!
years ago. So it's just one of those things where I'm like, that's me. So you can go back to your story, but that was my side tangent.
Yeah, somebody drove. What was it? The last time I was there, somebody drove an ambulance. Someone stole an ambulance and drove it into a house at Cortica.
That is ridiculous. I feel like it's much the same, like the stories, because my girlfriend went to Cornell, but like she lived in like a house with a bunch of girls that went to Cornell or Ithaca or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think a couple years she would go to Cortica, and I don't think it was one of the years when they flipped the car. I think she would have been out of there like a year or two before, like a year or two after or something. But when I saw the videos, it is like the college equivalent to any Chicago team winning any finals, fucking cup, whatever, and you being in Wrigleyville. Like, it is there. I was there when one of the years, like, the Blackhawks won. Did they win 2 years in a row, or was there, like, a year in between?
Maybe in between.
So I was there...
That's when I was there.
Visiting for 1 year, and then living for whichever other year was there. And, I mean, like, I was right there on, like, the main intersection, and you could literally see a stopped cab in the middle of the intersection, completely surrounded by a sea of people, with a human being standing on top of the cab, hanging from a fucking streetlight. And that is Cortica.
Yeah. Yep. Lived it. Done it.
Dang.
Yeah, I wish I went to a Cortica when I was in college.
I would have died.
Yeah. I also got to Brockport after they got rid of Brockport when they had that riot. From my understanding, they like when people talk about the Brockport riot, it sounds like it's overinflated, but they definitely did have like a similar thing that got too crazy, so they got rid of it, and then they just ended up doing like I don't know summer field days or some shit.
Stupid. Which
was like obviously we would all just go drink, but like it wasn't the event itself wasn't more as fun. But there was a car that got flipped. I do remember hearing about that.
I would love to like just like passively watch that. I'd love to be sitting on a stoop and watch that happen outside. Be like, that wasn't me, officer.
Yeah. You guys want to talk about your least favorite concert experiences to maybe round it out?
Yeah.
If you have anything coming to mind.
I'm trying to conglomerate them all because there are several.
Well, I'm sure it's also, there's probably good moments and bad moments in the same ones if you're messed up enough.
Oh, yeah. One I told Matt earlier was my girlfriend really wanted to go to, I think it was Luke Bryan.
Brian, yeah.
She, like, for her birthday, she really wanted to go to this, like, country concert, and it was not anyone I had heard of. She, like, forced me to listen to several songs, and I was like, okay, I'd really rather not. She's like, I'll buy your ticket, let's go, da-da-da. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So it's at Darien Lake, and we're in general admission, and she's a very social butterfly and is, like, making friends with everyone. She knew a whole bunch of other people that were going to be there, so we're, like, hanging out with them. I'm, like, wearing all black, a fucking Metallica shirt. I am quad-fisting tall boys of fucking Twisted Tea, like, 2 stacked on top. The top ones are open. I'm drinking both, like, you know, doing curls. And I am so perturbing that people are perturbed by my appearance and presence. And we both get so fucked up because we figure that we have a ride home with, like, someone that she was with at the time. And he ends up going off, like, with his friends. And we are both fucked up at this concert that is, like, an hour away from our houses. And so we had to just sit in her car in the parking lot for, like, 5 or 6 hours to become sober enough to drive.
That sucks.
And, like, at one point I remember, like, security coming up to us and being like, everything okay here? And we're like, yep, we're just trying to, you know, sober up, trying to be irresponsible. And they were like, it's 4 a.m. And we're like, yep. Yep, sure is.
Sure is. Go back in like 2 hours.
Right. Like, probably the first, like, concert that got me into, like, the EDM that I listen to now is, like, one of my girlfriends took me to Bauer at, where did you say earlier? It seemed like you were familiar with it in Syracuse.
Westcott. Where
it's, like, and if you go into, like, a high school auditorium and then you take out all the seats where the floor is, like, pitched downwards. And it was a great set. There were, like, at one point, like, Bauer and, like, 2 other DJs up there. And they were, at the beginning, like, not even tipsy yet. There's these fucking kids doing some sort of fucking weirdo dancing. I don't even know how to describe what they were doing. And one falls and completely takes my legs out from underneath me. And I sprained my ankle hard, like, uphill on this fucking pitched floor. And, like, hit my head real hard. And, you know, I'm just like, oh, definitely, like, fucking sprained my ankle. But, you know, this is still an opener, so let's just get real fucking wasted about it and forget, you know, and dance for 3 hours and everything will be great, because that's definitely how life works out. And it was, at the end of the night, you know, we were having, like, the bartenders give me bags of ice and we were, like, duct taping them to my fucking sneaker. And at the end of the night, we go into my girlfriend's car and she's like, all right, like, let me see your ankle. And I, like, put it up on the dash and it is as wide as the widest part of my thigh. Like, I've never had a sprained ankle look like this fucking ankle. And I went to the doctors, like, the next day or the day after, and they're like, yeah, it's definitely a sprain. You know, here's some crutches, yada yada. I've sprained my ankles a jillion times, so it was, like, nothing new. But 4 or 5 weeks later, I still could not fucking walk on this, like, could not put any weight on this sprained ankle. And I, like, went back again. I'm like, are you sure that it's a sprain? And they were like, yeah, it's just, like, a really fucking bad one. So that was definitely a good time.
Well, yeah. I've had some bad sprains.
And then several months later, I developed, like, a fucking stenosis in the back of my head that, like, basically fucked my whole life up, that could quite possibly have been from when I hit my head.
Jeez.
So thanks to weirdo fucking kids that don't know how to dance.
Yeah.
At the fucking Bauer show.
Always ruining it for the rest of us.
Fucking freaks.
My word. I don't have anything bad that has happened. I would say the Decemberists at Art Park.
Oh, I just went there this past summer. I loved it there.
I know.
It was cool.
This was inside in the shell. And they were phenomenal. But they stopped like halfway through because the lead singer's voice was not participating or not great, I guess.
Like what, he was getting like laryngitis or something?
I don't know. He, and I think it was a great concert. They did well. It wasn't what he was expecting the voice to be, or if he was having issues or something. So they cut it short, which sucked. But
I guess, what do you mean?
I don't know. He was just, I think he had sore throat.
Oh, okay.
I guess. So, certainly don't fault them for it. I would say one that I won't see again is the Lumineers, which I like their music, but I went to the concert and apparently they do this all the time, is they will stop in the middle of a song and just say, if everybody could just put their phones away and just be in the moment.
Oh.
Like we and then they just sit there.
Shut up, dude.
They just sit there quietly.
Yeah, no way.
Sit there quietly until
I take videos for when my pickle-brained alcoholic dementia kicks in,
right.
And I can remember that I came to this fucking show. Thank you very much.
I think it's different in the sense that, like, I know it's like usually more so comedy shows, but certain people, if they're like doing shows of like listening parties for songs
right.
that haven't dropped yet, like they'll put it so you have to like lock your phone up prior to.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm okay with that, but like if you paid to be there and they're not restricting cell phone usage, that's kind of corny.
Yep. So for me,
especially when they're like be in the moment.
Yeah,
right.
Like I see their side of it. Like
I'm here
just
and I'm pissed.
Be in the moment with us, but
that's
also
what I'm saying.
like I spent $60 on these fucking tickets. Like if I want to take my shirt off and like stand here and
put ranch on one nipple and gravy on the other.
I'm going to do that. I have paid to be here.
Well, if you don't want people having phones, make them lock them up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a thing now.
I've definitely heard from whenever within the last like
Taylor
5
Swift,
years or so that Kevin Hart came around. I'm not sure if it was to Rochester specifically, but he definitely had, where you can't have phones. But it's like because they're doing the same skit every time.
Yeah, they don't want someone to post their Netflix special.
Right.
Yeah. This is a concert where it's like, and they did it in the middle of Ho Hey. It's like, oh, your most popular song, like.
So did they pick up and then play the rest of the song?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, they stopped, and then we're just like...
Yeah, that's kind of
like
lame.
Waiting. It's like...
Lumineers, I know you're listening.
Okay.
Kind of lame.
I would have Mexican standoff and like just fucking kept... I would have zoomed in on their fucking face and been like, fuck you.
Okay. And... Yeah, so it was just super weird. But apparently they do it all the time. And like, I get it. And I've talked to some people, they're like, yeah, but that's fine. Like, be in the moment. Like, okay, cool. Like, but I don't remember shit. Like, if I'm hammered, I barely remember the concert I'm at.
Yeah, so, I feel like I definitely, even for like the Chili Peppers, which again, that's like bucket list for me. It was a huge fucking show. Absolutely loved it. I probably only took, I want to say, 10 pictures, maybe a cumulative total of 30 or 45 seconds of audio. The whole fucking show. And they played for an hour and a half. Like... Yeah. I'll fucking do what I want because these tickets cost me $870. Yeah. Fuck you.
And the funny thing about that, at that concert, I caught the set list. Like they ripped up, they throw the picks and throw the drumsticks.
Oh, cool.
And then they ripped the set list off, crumpled it up, and threw it.
Nice.
I grabbed it. And so it's like that would have been a great experience. But like you're a bunch of douchebags, so
yeah.
Meh.
Yeah, I totally get that. Crowds fucking ruin shit. I was telling Matt earlier that I've seen Metallica twice. The first time was a few years back at Gillette Stadium where the Patriots play. And it was a cool setup. We were right on the field. They put the stage at like one end zone and everyone else is all around. And the crowd was like super chill. Even on like the walk-in... it was a lot of like dads taking sons sort of thing, big group of whoever, and they were like, oh hey, you're like fucking vertically challenged, so would you like to walk your way right up to the rail? And that's never happened to me before or since. Obviously the show was amazing, music was amazing. I think the Metallica really put in an effort to, James Hetfield had his whole mic stand full of like picks probably like 30 picks down the mic stand, and at the end would just flick them out into the crowd. Several times, you know, there'd be drumsticks thrown. So it was really cool in that regard. But then seeing them in Buffalo, where they had like an X-shaped, almost like quadruple catwalk stage in the middle of, it's wherever hockey is played. I'm not sure what that venue is called.
I don't know anymore.
But and like certainly was not as many people in like what would be the pit. The whole floor is basically the pit. And we're, you know, there early. Got a couple drinks. Metallica started playing. It's the closest I've ever been. Like, I mean, maybe 20 feet away.
Nice.
And like at eye level, like the stage is maybe 6 feet elevated. And there's this dude that's like pretty tall, probably like 5'10", maybe around 6 feet. And, you know, he's like with a girl, and the girl's like my height, and I was like, oh, would you like mind if I like stepped in front of you like to see? And he is like, no. And I was like, okay, well, good thing there's like 360 views here. So I walked around the entire opposite side of the fucking stage and planted myself with a whole bunch of other short girls like me. And he fucking followed me to where I was, stood in front of me, and elbowed me that hard in my fucking face. And I had like a black eye, and we just fucking left. 20 minutes in to the set, that those tickets were even more expensive than when they were outside of Boston, and we fucking left 20 minutes in.
It's crazy. That's absurd.
I wanted to knife that guy.
Yeah.
I didn't have a knife, though, so it was a problem.
It's probably for the best.
Yeah. Yeah, but crowds can fucking ruin shit like that.
Yeah.
I went to another, like, hip-hop. I can't remember who it was, but I actually made it in. I didn't get whisked away to a strip club that time. And those crowds were, like, violent. And it was a Darien Lake on the lawn.
Yeah, I've never been to anything like that.
I feel like it's just got to be this fucking area. I mean, think about rowdy Bills fans just fucking and taking it out. Like, that's this whole fucking area.
Yeah, that's fair.
True. Yeah, that was our concert.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Concert list.
Thanks for coming to the Tree Fort, guys. It was good to talk to you again. Be a bit more personal today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Question for the viewer. What would you say your 3? We did 3, right?
We did 3.
Okay, I was
Yes.
making sure. What would be your 3 favorite concerts, and what would be your least favorite concert experience? Have you gotten elbowed in the nose?
Dunk, what was your favorite concert?
Yeah.
I want to know.
Shout out Dunk. Shout out concerts.
Dunk, not Donk. Donk is someone else, and we love Donk, but he doesn't listen.
You have a Dunk and a Donk?
Yeah.
There's a Dunk and a Dunk.
There's actually 2 Dunks and a Donk.
What about Dunk and Donna? Donk.
No, my favorite thing is like imagining it like if they're playing basketball, like Dunk kicks it out to Donk, Donk throws it back to Dunk, Dunk donks it on Dank. Yeah, I'm gonna kill myself. Help.
My brain stopped working after the second time.
Do we know Donk doesn't listen?
I don't think he does. I don't know if he knows how to operate.
Do we call him Donk because he's got a badonk?
No, his name's Donk.
His last name's Donk. But now, my new thing with him is when I leave the office, he's always there at the end of the day. Well, it'll be different when we move to the new office, but he's always leaving. I'm always the second to last to leave. He's always last to leave. So every day I'm like, all right, bye, Donk. I hope your wife tucks you in tonight. Good night. I love you. Sweet dreams. And he's like, I love you too. Sweet dreams.
Aww. You guys are cute.
Yeah. So there was a new girl that sits next to him, and he wasn't there one day. And I was like, hey, so when Donk gets back, tell him I said I love him, that I hope his wife tucks him in tonight. Sleep well. Sweet dreams. I was like, you got all that? She's like, okay. And
Did she?
No. I checked the next day.
Can't be fucking trusted.
So I'm not shouting her out by name because she disappointed me. But shout out Donk even though you don't listen. But, so that'll do it for today.
Shout out everybody in the office that listens. We appreciate it.
Shout out everyone that listens, guys.
Shout out everybody, period, that listens.
Again,
Shout out Leica for looking actually fucking deceased. Oh, he made eye contact with
no,
me.
he's alive. But yeah, I mean, so I don't even know when this is going to get uploaded, but we've got a good amount of podcasts out. We've gotten a lot of feedback. Again, appreciate the love. Appreciate whatever you guys are doing on your end to follow wherever you see Tree 4 Gang, Twitter, which actually I don't think anyone's done anything with yet, but Instagram, Facebook. We love the love. We're just trying to grow this, but we're having a lot of fun. So thanks for joining us in the Tree Fort. This is Joe Johnson.
Philip Bowen.
Oh, Rose Murray.
Do you need a nap? Permission.
Why is it sour?
Permission to come inside. All right, guys. We'll talk to you next time. Peace.
Good.
Tree Fort Gang is an Audio Boom original podcast. Edison is written by Eric Sprinkle and is produced and performed by Soul Shifters.